proceed.
Most of it's not good.
We are preparing to go live.
Oh, yeah.
Tim, make sure you sign in on the board, please.
I'll call the meeting to order for June 17th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Please, everyone, sign in over there. It helps with the minutes that Angie, clerk and recorder, does. And I'll remind you, as always, if you come to the podium to speak, please say and spell your first and last name. You all can sign in over there and then sit wherever you'd like. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda that the commission has jurisdiction over? Any public comment? Do you have anything?
Well, I didn't hear it in the meeting recording from last week, but we went to the water rights training
Yes.
for DNRC. I don't know if that was
No,
mentioned.
I did
Okay.
not. Do you want to?
Yeah. Commissioner Randolph and I went to a water rights training with DNRC. It got a little dry. Just kidding. Nicole, right? Nicole was there as well. Sorry, Nicole. And we've all dived into all things water over the past several years, and you still feel like you're only scratching the surface. But there's a lot of really good information through DNRC. They are very helpful, willing to work with landowners, lots to learn on water. So I would say you could call us and ask questions about water, but we know enough to be dangerous. So I would recommend calling DNRC. I did post something on my commissioner Facebook page with all the QR codes for helpful links for DNRC if anyone is looking for those. I don't, what else did you have on that?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I covered it. It was part of it was good for us. Part of it wasn't really ideal for us, but it was still a good chance to talk and learn. Did you have any public comment?
I attended the MSU Rural Summit last Wednesday sometime. It was last Wednesday because we didn't have a commission meeting. It was held out here at the Watson Center, which it was a really good turnout. There was people from all over the state here. Just really kind of touching on rural communities and how we are all very, very similar, even though we like to think that we are unique. We're all facing the same problems, same struggles. The biggest one is volunteering. So anybody out there that would like to participate in local government in any way, shape, or form, there's all sorts of boards to be a part of. Volunteers are the backbone for all rural communities. So do a little plug for that there.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room or online right now? I just want to thank the airport fly-in was last Saturday. The weather was not ideal, but it did not rain, but it was very windy and cold. But we had a really good turnout. And the airport board meets, I think, in 2 weeks. And we'll talk about if we do it again. It's probably too soon because it was a lot of work. But it was a great event. And then you'll see these posters around. It's Broadwater County Agency on Aging public comment period. July 8th at 11:30 at the Senior Center. And I've done the survey. And it's really just asking questions. And it's ideal for people over 60 or caregivers or community providers. Or if you have a family member that's over 60. And they're just really reaching out to see what they could do better to serve the older. That hurts to say because I'm over 60. The older residents. It just hit me like that. So if you see these around, no RSVP is needed. Lunch is included. It's going to be a really great facilitated meeting by Agency on Aging. That's all I had. First thing on the agenda is Melissa Franks, Broadwater County Treasurer, monthly report.
Good morning. Melissa Franks, FRANKS. So May balanced, we're all good. Sent everything off to the state. So all is good in that. And then as far as, I apologize I didn't get this to you before today. It's just I've had a lot going on, so I haven't had a chance to get it to you. So as far as the month of May, all disbursements totals $3,463,466.31. Mobile home delinquencies have gone down just a smidge. They're at $44,706.29. Real property delinquencies went down a little bit. We're at $880,660.22. Motor vehicle for the month of May was $141,855.64. And the entitlement came in just the other day, so that part is good. I just got received, let's see, on the 15th. And then PILT right now is at $622,634.84.
Can you say that one more time, please?
You bet. $622,634.84. And then investments for the interest that we received on our investments for the May is $45,161.06. Anybody have any questions?
How much of the funds that the state withheld have been received? Do you have a percentage?
No, I don't have a percentage, but I do show that majority of them, I can get that for you, but the majority of them have come in. Some of them, the smaller ones, have not. Gambling license fees are, they're all right around $100 or less. I haven't seen those come in yet, but everything is coming in. Majority of it came in right off the bat, 1st of June. There's some smaller ones that are still kind of coming in.
And you said the real property delinquency is $880,660?
880,660.22.
When does that, if people are delinquent, when do they tend to pay? Like, when do they usually come in? If they do.
Yeah, well, in all honesty, it's been over 800,000 for quite a while. So when I send delinquency letters out, we do get some of that in, but majority of it, people are just not paying them. And unless somebody takes an assignment, then that might spur them up, but that doesn't happen with some of these.
And when will you be sending out delinquent letters?
I'll probably be getting those sent out probably not until July. Yeah. County tax lien will go out on I think it's August 3rd. Once that happens, then folks can do assignments after that date.
I guess what does your office do if, like obviously for budgeting purposes, we're looking at what revenues are, what there should be, new taxes. What does your office do? We don't receive that revenue. Do we write that off? Like what happens?
I don't believe that's the practice for real property. Mobile homes is a little different, but that also requires getting the sheriff's office involved and having them go out there and put stickers out on people's property.
So basically, we would just be short $800,000. And
I'm not sure how we get people to come in and pay those, other than the threat of, an assignment or tax deed.
And while the period that they haven't paid, interest continues.
Yep. Yep, it does.
What's that set interest rate? Sorry, that made me go down a little rabbit hole.
I don't know it by heart.
Okay.
It's like a, yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know for sure, but interest hits the day after, or no, the penalty hits the day after the due date. Interest will accrue every day. So I can find out.
I was just curious. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't expect you to know.
No,
that off the
I
top of
always
your
have to
head.
look on the
You-
bill when I get that question because I
Yeah.
just don't know it by heart.
Okay.
Are there any questions for Melissa while she's here? Any public comment or questions? I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Okay. I have an internal favor, though.
Sure.
On the table in the commissioner's office, I left the vendor list for the claims. Can you have somebody run it over?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely
I think
can.
I've done that before.
I didn't even see it, but then I will- when I left.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much. We will, why do that? We will close the, I do that all the time. We will close this part of the meeting and open the public hearing for Nicole Brown, Development and Planning Director, proposed amendments to procedure for the creation and administration of rural improvement districts, RIDs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Community Development Director and Planner, presenting the Rural Improvement District public hearing, or for public hearing, excuse me. Our current, I'm going to refer to it from here on out as an RID. RID stands for Rural Improvement District. So our current RID procedure the adopted RID procedure, excuse me, is dated 2013. So it's very outdated. This RID procedure basically captures the plan or the steps an individual, a Broadwater County citizen would take in order to have an RID, and I guess I should say a rural improvement district, is set typically for roads. RIDs are usually put in place for roads that maybe in a subdivision that the HOA might not be active or they're not collecting enough dues on that. But this document has been online. I'm not going to read the entire document. It's been posted online. And again, we do have one that is adopted. We do have regulation procedure manual that is adopted but is outdated. So this new one captures any current MCA. So I will stop talking and allow the public to comment.
Did you get any public comment in writing or email or any of them?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did either of you?
I did not.
I did not either. Okay. Is there any public comment for the RID process or proposal that we have, the draft proposal? Any public comment on the RID policy? Any public comment? We'll close the public hearing and open the meeting back up for the same subject. Do you all have questions, comments?
I had a couple. I had talked with TJ a little bit earlier. The county would be taking on the management, because in here it says, you would take 5%. The county would get 5% to manage the RID. Do we have that capacity to do that?
That's my number one question. Who's going to do all this? And here I didn't see who's doing it. And it could be a considerable amount of work. So I don't, and I haven't talked to you much about this at all. Jesse and I haven't talked at all about it.
And I believe TJ had said to me earlier that Lewis and Clark hired a person specifically to do this. I don't think we are in the place where we can do that. So what does the management process look like? I think it's a good idea. I think it's needed. We have a lot of those roads out there that could use, have that RID structured for the people living there. But again, management of the RID and resources.
And the actual work. Many counties, we started this process about 3 years ago. Well, restarted it, I guess, about 3 years ago, and then had a change in staff in the legal department. So it kind of got hung up there. Many counties either hire a full-time person or part-time person, or they outsource it with an engineering company to do this, or they do it themselves. But that's my number one. What were the thoughts? Who would do this as you guys were preparing this draft? You
I
were
wasn't
Nicole.
involved.
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, can I
Yes,
respond?
please.
So no, there was no, I guess, discussion with myself on who, on who would be managing this. I know TJ and I have spoken in the past about it, that it could be a collaborative effort between our two departments. But really, that, I think that needs to be part of the discussion. And my request, I guess, to this commission would be to not adopt this today. I would like this to be an ongoing discussion. I would like to have the opportunity to meet with TJ. In fact, him and I have a meeting scheduled after this meeting to talk, and so maybe we can work through some of those questions. But no, there really has been no discussion on who or which department is going to manage this. But I envision it being a collaborative effort between community development and public works.
How did the percentage of 5% come about?
That's mandated through, or
Is it?
stated through MCA.
It is, so we don't have any
And we
flexibility.
don't have any flexibility with that.
Are we considering outsourcing?
I think we need to, sorry to interrupt, but
No.
I think we need to look at all options, because
Yeah.
once we get this approved, whenever that may be, it could be considerable work. The 5% covers the cost of oversight and management of the RID by county staff. I don't know. Obviously, we're not going to decide this today, but it involves a lot of mailing, a lot of posting, a lot of interaction with the residents.
And then I was thinking, if we were outsourcing, is that something you would have to kind of go through, it's like a bid or procurement process for who is going to do that? You couldn't just say, we want this engineering company, they're gonna handle it for us, or would we have to have several bid on that?
That was one of my questions. I don't know. Great West Engineering is our engineer of record, but we do occasionally use other. We used Staley for the Old Town Bridge. That was agreed upon. Great West was fine with that. It made sense because Gallatin County and Broadwater County were working on that together. I would urge the public to look at the draft. As Commissioner Rickmeyer said, we'll keep reviewing it. TJ, do you have any comments or questions or anything about it yet? Okay.
For procurement, is it 80,000? Is that the cutoff? That, do you know off the top of your head either?
For, what do you mean, like if it's
when
above
we're
80,000?
required to go out and get for procurement, for the procurement process.
That's a different process than hiring an engineering company. That's what we've gone through before when we changed from WWC to Great West.
It's like a different type of contract.
Yeah.
Process.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that happened right before I joined here. So yeah, there's still a lot to be answered. So my point was, anybody in the public or in this room, please look at the document, email, I guess, Nicole at this point, or us with questions, comments, as we move on with this. Yeah, that was my thought too. We are absolutely not ready to decide this today, but we're getting there.
No.
Absolutely.
Is there any public comment online about RIDs? Any public comment in the room regarding RIDs? Any public comment?
I'll add, Debbie, I think, it's well-written.
Yeah.
The document's well-written, it's clear. It would help to have more public feedback on this process, especially if you are in an area where you might want an RID for your roads. And I can think of a few off the top of my head in a county where there's ongoing issues. Yeah.
Did you have anything else, Nicole, to add at this point?
No, ma'am, other than really, I would piggyback on Commissioner Rickmeyer's statement. We really do want public feedback. Today, there was no intention of, or there was no desire on my part for you commissioners to adopt this. As me presenting it to you and to the public for questions and for feedback, so it can be a really great document, or manual, if you will, moving forward. So there was no expectation of adoption. This is just my presentation for questions. Mhm.
And to that point, there's times on the agenda where you will see discussion and decision. This is not one that I don't think any of us thought we were going to decide today, but there's times that we put that on there. So in case we are ready to decide, we can make that decision. If we don't have decision on the agenda, we cannot. So sometimes it's just a safeguard. And in this case, that's exactly what it was. Last chance, public comment on RID proposals or process. Okay. Thank you, Nicole.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
We will move to the Miller mortgage exemption.
All right.
Brown.
Commissioners, this is the Miller mortgage exemption request. You have received the staff report, the certificate of survey, as well as the exemption application, subdivision exemption application. All of these documents have been posted online. I did, Commissioner Swenson pointed out to me earlier today that there was an error on my staff report, so I did make that amendment. That was not posted online because it was found about 20 minutes before we came over here. So I did make that amendment, and that amendment, I'll read it into the record, but just for the public's consideration, was that since this is not a parcel, DEQ is not required, and I knew that, and for some reason I had that in the staff report that DEQ, that they would need to seek DEQ approval. But that's absolutely not true, because mortgage tracts are not actual tracts of record. Mortgage tracts are at the request of a bank or any lending institution to lend on a smaller parcel of property. Mortgage tracts are only good as they only exist for the life of the mortgage. That's probably the best way to say that. So once the mortgage is satisfied, those lines around the I didn't want to call it a parcel, but the lines on the property disappear, even though they are still held in the clerk and recorder's office. But this is not a tract of record. It cannot be sold as a separate tract of record unless there's a default on the mortgage. So I just want to briefly read this into the record. Since I did make an amendment, this is a short staff report. So Madam Chair, if I may read it into the record. The applicants are James and Melissa Miller and Jonas and Nancy Koblenz. The subject property is 102.7 acres in size. The parcel is currently owned by James and Melissa Miller and Jonas and Nancy Koblenz. The proposed mortgage tract will encompass 15.01 acres and is being requested to facilitate a mortgage for James and Melissa Miller. MCA 763201-1B provides for the creation of a parcel for mortgages, liens, trust indentures, or refinancing purposes. This is the amendment I made. Since the mortgage tract is not creating a parcel, they are not subject to DEQ review and approval. And then if we can go down to wastewater, the on-site wastewater treatment system has been approved by the Broadwater County Environmental Health Officer. And excuse me, Commissioners, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to step out so you can continue without me for a moment. Okay. Sorry.
And all of this has been online, except as Nicole said, the revision to the staff report. And we received all this at least a week ago, maybe 8-9 days ago. So I think we've all had time to look at it. Any questions? Any comments?
When I talked to Nicole, because I had a few questions on it, she said that mortgage tract, it's not an actual tract. It's still one large piece of property. That is just what, should they fail to pay the mortgage, that the bank would take that piece, that tract, out of this greater acreage. Otherwise, once it's paid off, it's gone. You have two parties, both of which paid for the property, living on the one main piece of property, right? Septic's been approved. And from there, should that property have to be divided, or if one party wants out and wants to sell, then they would be looking again at like a subdivision. So
no new parcels are coming out of this. Commissioner Swenson, did you have anything to add?
It was reviewed by the COS committee.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember the exact date, but it was reviewed by the COS committee. There was no issues found there. The sanitarian was there. She didn't have any issues with anything.
And with both of them with both parties on having paid for the property and the mortgage, I don't see any problem with it. So I
Is
believe
there-
both parties paid for the property together, if I remember correctly.
Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the Miller mortgage exemption request.
I'll second that.
Is there any public, there's a motion and a second, is there any public comment regarding the Miller mortgage exemption request?
Chuck Hahn, excuse me, Chuck Hahn, C-H-U-C-K, H-A-H-N. I do have some questions. We've looked at this parcel numerous times, and there's always been some issues. There are some issues with this application. It is not fully filled out, in my opinion, because you have 4 landowners doing an application for a mortgage exemption for 2 landowners. You've got information from the Millers as to what they do, their occupation, but Mr. Koblenz and Mrs. Koblenz are also listed on the application, but there is no occupation listed for either one of them. The ownership time period listed is August of 2025, but if you look back at the parcel history, the parcel was purchased in August of 2025 by all 4 parties. It was a quitclaim deed to Mr. Koblenz on October of 2025, who then came in with a family transfer exemption request, which was denied, and then this parcel was transferred back into joint ownership on on March 2026. So you have a history of attempted subdivision evasion, in my opinion, and I think this commission, when we've looked at it before, when it was overturned on the Koblenz request, Commissioner Rick Meyer made the comment that if this had just gone through subdivision in the beginning, it would have been a done deal. And Commissioner Randolph indicated it's all been kind of a funky, if I remember right, deal. So the other questions are is there's already 2 mortgages on the property. One mortgage is in the name of the Millers, one mortgage in the name of the Koblenzes. That mortgage is with Stockman Bank in Victor, Montana. And part of those documents state that this is not to be encumbered by any other mortgage or anything without prior approval by Stockman's Bank, which I see nothing of that in here. So for that reason, I would request that you not approve it at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Swenson, you were in on the COS review committee. Did any of those items come up during that time, or in that meeting?
We have the letter from, I believe it's Intrepid,
Intrepid.
requesting the mortgage survey. We did not go through everybody's bank records to see who else had put a lien on there, nor are we required to, in my opinion. That's a personal matter between the landowner and their bank. I don't think that's on us to go through, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we just stepped in. But Mr. Hahn was saying that there's other loans on the property, I believe he said under Koblenz's name, through Stockman, that say there shouldn't be any encumbrances on the property without written approval from Stockman. We don't have any of that information. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I don't really. Thank you for letting me step out for a minute. It's not part of our review process to check what mortgages they have on the property, if you will. That really is a personal matter between the landowner and their lending institution. If they need to work it out with their lending institution, they do that. We don't intercede on their behalf.
What we do require is the note from the lending agency requesting it, and they
That is
did
correct,
fulfill
sir.
that.
Mhm. And yeah, that is included in the packet and is posted online.
I agree. I understand, well, I should say I agree. I understand Chuck's ongoing concern on this property. However, the way the mortgage exemption is structured, again, you're not creating a new parcel. Their bank is holding that land. Is that the right way to put it?
Yeah, it's being held as collateral.
Yeah,
that
it's
portion.
collateral, so. And both people, that I understand the timing on the deeds. Obviously, the family transfer was denied. They were originally all four on there. They went back on there. They all bought the property together, and they're building a house. They've got, people are utilizing the land. No new parcels are being created. Sanitation is approved. I think water is DNRC with the exempt well. I couldn't say no on this. Personally. I don't see how I could deny this one. I understand the concerns, but
Can I make one further comment?
please.
Aside from the mortgages then, so an application that is not fully filled out, is it still considered a proper application? And if it has errors on it?
That's not an, you mean the occupation space that isn't filled in? I guess their occupation, to me, it's nice to know on there. It's good to know. If they don't fill it out, is it an error? Does their occupation dictate the decision we're making?
How about ownership time period?
Well, that's what I said before, like the ownership time period. Like they bought the property together originally. They tried for the family transfer. They were denied creating that additional lot through the family transfer process. Everyone went back to the way it was. I know, it's funky. The family transfer was denied for those reasons, and we had the timeline to address those issues. This is not a family transfer. It's a mortgage exemption, and they're following what is in statute for the mortgage exemption. So in good faith, I can't say that that's...
And the other thing is the letter from the bank is just a letter stating that they're not going to make a loan necessarily at this point. They're just saying that they're looking at things. And I'll get to it when we get back to things when we get to the family transfer exemption request, because this is one of the reasons why I thought that you should not have amended subdivision regulations and taken out so many of your criteria that was available, especially on this mortgage exemption, or on a mortgage exemption. Thank you.
That was this morning as I was reviewing this again. That was one of my questions about, is this a typical letter from a bank for this process? Because it's preliminary review and approval. It's not, and I did not have time this morning to go back and look at the other ones that we've done. We've done very few of these. So that, I guess I'm asking you as
So
I'm not sure
typical,
what we're-
typical is probably not. They're all different, right? I mean, if you're getting a mortgage, if you're requesting a mortgage, let me back that up. If Opportunity Bank is requesting the mortgage survey, they have a typical letter. They have a format that they use. I'm sure this is probably Intrepid's format. Does that make sense? So I think it's subjective, like depending on the lending institution.
So we don't necessarily require a letter from them approving it.
Correct. It just needs to be a letter from the lending institution stating that they are requesting it, right?
And I do have some concerns that occupation wasn't filled out. We've spent so much time on these applications. And I guess I go back to, I know I've said this before in meetings with Nicole and probably in here. Why do we put it on if it's not required? The information isn't required. If it's just FYI, or is it a requirement? I don't know, years ago, we've talked about putting things on application forms. Don't put it if it's not required, has always been my, did I see somebody hand up public comment?
Bernadette Swenson, SWENSON, from Schauber Surveying. I just would like to remind everyone, a mortgage tract is at the request of a bank for a mortgage. Because of banking privacy, the letter does not need to state if they're approved, what the amounts are, what the interest rate is. That's all banking privacy. So the fact that the bank requested it means that they're obviously in some transaction with the bank. This does not create anything. It does not guarantee they get a loan. That's, you know, it's not the county commission or this process to determine the bank's business.
So the bank just needs this from us to move forward?
Right.
Okay, thank you,
Right.
that was my question.
Before they do they approve the certificate.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, that was.
Because then they just got to see, okay, what are we going to be using for a mortgage? You know, how much is it worth collateral-wise,
Yeah,
or
okay.
all that information.
We do
But
so
this
few of
doesn't
these.
create anything.
Right.
It just allows a bank to move forward and to work with their clients, but those details aren't privy to public knowledge because of bank privacy. Thank you.
Thank you, because we do so few of these. It's not a regular thing that I am aware of.
Madam Chair, before we move on, I realized I didn't do my disclosure
Oh,
before I
that's
start.
right.
I'm going to
Yes.
read that into the record really fast. So I want to disclose that the following survey, the survey that we're reviewing right now, was performed by Schauber Surveying, which is owned by my parents. Neither I nor they receive any financial benefit from the decisions being made here today. Additionally, the request before us is from the landowner and not the surveyor, and my participation and vote are based solely on state law and standards that we are required to uphold as commissioners.
Thank you.
I realize that, but I didn't do that yet.
Commissioner Randolph, if you, like, I understand the occupation concern. I do understand, like, why have it on there. It's information gathering. I guess if we wanted to postpone and they do a new application, I don't know what the answer is there on occupation, or maybe we ask, could we ask the applicants why that was left blank?
Could I speak?
Yes, please.
I can't see you on the podium.
Or I shouldn't tell you yes, sorry, the chair needs to
Yeah,
tell
go
you
ahead.
that. That's not
Take
me.
over the
Sorry.
meeting, 'cause-
Sorry, sorry.
My name is Helene Galzagori, Helene, last name Galzagorry. We've had lots of issues with this county and the things they've approved. We've been in 3 lawsuits because of the county not doing their due diligence. Originally, this whole piece was a problem because the county commissioners had approved that as a subdivision, or whoever approves it. And so we sued because they had put our ditches, which is my primary concern, as drainage ditches. So we were forced to sue because our ditches are primary ditches and they come from Beaver Creek, and that's our only source of water. We'd like to pump out of the lake, but it's cost prohibitive. Just to get power down to the lake is $1.1 million. It's not like I haven't looked into it. So we always have problems with our ditches. That was our first lawsuit. Our second lawsuit was because Steve McCullough thought it was okay to put a bike path through the middle of our property and at the time I really appreciated the surveyors because they sent me a letter, and that was my first realization that the county was even intending to do anything with the bike path. I would never have even known about it if the surveying crew had not sent me a certified letter telling me that. So of course, we countered that and proved that this alleged bike path place was not ever approved as a county road. So that was our second lawsuit. Our third lawsuit was with Schaub, the previous owner of this property, and Rudy Silva, who bought the other 100 acres. And it happened to do because, thank God for Montana legislature in 1981, they put into the law that you cannot obstruct someone's irrigation ditch without permission from the landowner. And they had put in a culvert in our ditch. And you would think, oh, it's not a big deal. Well, it is when you're trying to irrigate and you don't have anybody there to pay attention to every culvert that's in the ditch because they create big obstructions. It happens to be on the side of a hill, so the water comes pouring out if the ditch breaks because of an obstruction in the ditch. So from my standpoint, I would appreciate if you guys would postpone it to figure out more details, because otherwise I'll try to figure out how I can sue against it, because I want things to be done correctly. And I don't want subdivisions, and like I said, it matters because of our ditch. We don't have any other water. Beaver Creek's the only water we have. And we only have high water rights, which means we only get rights when it runs. So to me, it's very, very important to not have, what if they do it again for another parcel, and all of a sudden you have 10 parcels like that, or how many ever. Then it becomes kind of like a subdivision, because you have all these different parcels. And that's my whole thing, is to protect our irrigation ditches. And any time that you guys choose something against that, I will sue. I hate to say that, but I'm tired of suing, and I'm tired of losing money, because like our first lawsuit went through district court, we won it, but the judge ruled against us on the fees. So do you really win? Our legal fees for the 3 lawsuits is probably right around $100,000. I could have used that for pumping water out of the lake. So for me, we're not, I own the ranch with 2 sisters. So, but I'm the one that takes care of all the business stuff on it. So I would really appreciate if you would postpone to figure out more details on it, because I can't believe that question is on the application if it wasn't important. Thank you.
Thank you. And today on the agenda, we're just dealing with the, I don't mean just, but the mortgage exemption, not any other issues. And I understand and appreciate what you're saying.
Can I ask Helene a question?
Sure.
Helene, I'm sorry, can you come back up? I have a question for you. With your ditches, and I understand, because we deal with the same thing with our family and over near Battle Creek, but what is your primary concern, like with this property? Like Commissioner Randolph said, we have to look at this one thing, not in the future, right? Those are separate issues that we would consider at the time they come to us. What is your concern specifically with your water with this property?
Well, our ditch runs right through the middle of their property,
Right.
along the hill portion of it. So I'm afraid that they're going to do it again and again until they subdivide that, or whatever you want to call it, into multiple parcels. And so then, because our ditch running through there, pretty soon we're going to have issues with whoever owns the portion that's north of the ditch. And it's always a problem for us. Anytime there's any kind of potential obstruction with the ditches, especially with it being on a hillside, it creates more problems, because if the ditch breaks, it's hard to maintain that ditch as it is. So for me, it's protecting our water rights and our ditches. And we had an agreement with Schaub and Rudy Silva regarding culverts in the ditches in whatever the last, I don't know, it's been probably 5 years ago. And we reached that agreement of where they could put culverts. And so there's none on their portion of the ditch.
So if you're the senior water rights holder, they technically, and I know it's a pain, but they technically cannot obstruct to take your water rights.
Correct.
So
but nobody pays attention to
I
it
know,
at the courthouse.
I know, and I've heard that. So my question is there an agreement that could be done? And this is, I'm throwing this out there as something to consider, right? With the people on that property, I don't know how you can completely prevent that property from ever being developed in any way, right? Because you don't own the property, they
Right.
own the property now. One could argue private property rights, that they have the right to develop at some level within their means of the law. So then how does the water thing get worked out? And I understand again what you're saying, I know exactly what you're talking about, but we again can't look it down the road, right? We can't. Look
I
it
understand
down the
that.
road.
I'm just asking you to postpone enough to get this decision made. And in the meantime, I can talk to our attorney again and try to figure out if everything you guys are doing is correct or not.
Okay.
Because it's always on some kind of, non-due diligence that we end up suing. And so I would appreciate, well, my father bought that property in 1954, so I'd appreciate consideration of all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, this is not a family transfer or a boundary relocation or, at this point, a subdivision. It's no new parcels are created. It is a mortgage exemption.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
I think given that the Koblenz page on the application was not fully completed, I think it is important that you table this and allow me to send it back to the applicant to complete.
That was going to be my request.
That section, even though it likely will be similar to what's shown on the Miller form. But since there are two owners, I think it's important that the Koblenz, that one page is complete.
Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second.
Did you make the motion? You made the motion, Jesse?
Yeah.
Jesse made a motion, you seconded
Mm-hmm.
to approve the mortgage exemption. Wish Allison was here to help us with Robert's Rules of Order.
I don't have any problem postponing. I mean, there's no urgency to this. Obviously, your house is being built already. There's no urgency. I don't mind postponing. That's fine.
Just are you comfortable withdrawing your motion? And I'm probably not doing this right, Robert's Rules of Order, and I'll talk to Allison.
You just rescind the motion.
I'm really torn on it. I understand the hesitation, I guess, but if they chose not to fill in the application or the occupation, I don't think we can require them to by state law, can we?
It's on our application. I mean, you can go both ways with it.
I'm not a lawyer. None of us are lawyers.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
if we can require it or not. But I know I'm a broken record, but if it's on here, it should be completed.
Well,
I don't know if that's a legal opinion.
to support
not
that,
illegal.
to support that in some of the things we're talking about later.
Yes.
If it's going to be on there, it's something under consideration. It's information gathering for a purpose. So while we don't necessarily make a decision based on their occupation, it's good information to have. So just fill out the application. It's not going to hurt anyone to postpone.
And we're not denying it. We're
I don't
just-
think. Sorry. No, not denying. Just sorry.
And if you're not comfortable withdrawing your motion, we can decide to,
Yeah, we can.
well,
vote
or
on it.
that takes a vote also to table.
Oh no. Yeah.
Can I speak? The Millers pulled up a subdivision application that was posted online by Jonas Koblenz that is completed. Occupation was construction. I can show you this. They called it up on their website. Oh, it was the email that was sent to
Why isn't it
Dan.
on here? Is that-
Okay, so this is the one that was emailed. I don't know if something different got mixed up in emails or you got
Yeah.
duplicates.
What we have and what we posted is not
Right.
on there. I appreciate you looking that up, but what we have posted online for public, find that
Yeah.
page again.
And Bernadette Swenson, SWENSON, again, also. I understand, okay, that line was blank on what, obviously, the county got, what we had it in it, so I'm not sure what happened there. I'd have to review that. But I just would like to question the review committee. If this was coming through and it was deemed not completed, those are the kind of things that should happen before we get to this meeting. Because you can say it's no hurry, no problem, but the Millers are sitting here with their bank loan in question, waiting to proceed, and, you know, this is just another week postponement. I can understand with the threats of lawsuits, which this doesn't even create anything. It doesn't change the use of the property. They're already building their house. All it does is allow them to have collateral for their home. And I just find this crazy that, you know, these people are going to be held another week to continue building their home. You know, it's just frustrating, very frustrating.
And my concern is not, I survived Horse Creek Health, barely, but the threat of a lawsuit is not the reason that my concern is that the application is not
I understand
complete.
that. And
I just want to make that clear.
No, I understand that. And because of that missing gives credence to a lawsuit to protect the county and the Millers.
Right.
But it is frustrating when
I
this
get it.
isn't changing any use of the land, you know, just collateral for a loan.
I get it.
I think we've said that, though. That's what
Yeah.
we've
Yes,
continually
I
said
understand.
today. And honestly, you guys chose to start building the house, or that was a choice. So this process could have been done a while ago. We are where we are. I don't feel like postponing is a problem. I'm sorry, it's an inconvenience. I feel better, you know, it's okay. It's 1 week to get things corrected so everything's buttoned up the way it needs to be. That's what I see.
I'll rescind the motion just because I know we're not going to vote on it anyway, so it's just not drag
We
this
can
on.
vote on it.
No, I'll rescind.
Okay, we will, please work with Nicole Brown on resubmitting that. Thank you for a really good conversation. The next item, Nicole, do you want to make a statement on that?
Yeah,
on the
absolutely. So the
owner?
next, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry.
The next item is the dry boundary relocation exemption request. Mrs. Dry sent me an email requesting that this be removed from the agenda for today. She had to figure something out, so I would just ask you to just...
You just let us know when we're...
She didn't withdraw.
She
her
didn't
application.
withdraw her application,
Okay.
just pause.
We're not tabling this, she just asked for a pause.
No table,
Okay.
no
table, no wait on
anything,
table,
just
none of
pause.
that. Nicole Brown, Montana River Ranch Holdings.
Yes, thank you. Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Community Development Director and Planner, presenting the Montana River Ranch Holdings boundary relocation exemption request. You've received the staff report, the exemption request, and the certificate of survey. This is located, do I not have the location on here? I don't. My apologies. The location is not on the staff report, but it is on the application. It's in Section 31, Township 7 North, Range 4 East. This involves 3 parcels. And the exemption request is essentially to amend the boundaries of one large parcel to be a bit smaller, and that parcel is along Ross Gulch Road. That's one parcel with the boundary being amended. The second parcel with the boundary being amended is in the northwest corner of your certificate of survey. And the purpose for that, or for that boundary relocation, is to capture all of the buildings and the riding arena onto one parcel, because according to the application, they were on 2 separate parcels. So this is a very, very large tract of land that 2 parcels will be amended.
But it,
It's not creating any new parcels.
you.
I should disclose that. No new parcels being
it
created.
was 3, it will be 3.
Yes, it will still be 3.
Just different sizes.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Nicole.
Please.
I thought I saw something on here about ag, there's not an ag covenant on here.
No,
Is there?
ma'am.
Okay.
No, it's used for agricultural purposes, but no agricultural exemption or ag covenant on the
Thank
property.
you.
I didn't have any questions on this.
I didn't either.
Did you, Jesse? Commissioner Svensson?
It makes sense.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve, sorry, I have to find it. Move to approve the Montana River Ranch Holding LLC boundary relocation exemption request. Section 31, Township 7 North, Range 4 East.
Is there a second?
I will second that, but just as a clarification, it is in 2 sections, so it's section 31 and 36.
Oh, yeah, she didn't have it. That's not
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
And just for a point of clarification, I should have asked that earlier, the review committee did approve this? Or did need it?
Yes.
Pass.
Madam Chair, yes, yeah, the review committee, there's no approval process by the review committee, but yeah, we did meet, reviewed it, made a couple of suggested edits to the surveyor, the applicant, and those edits were made, so.
Is there any public comment online or in the room on Montana River Ranch Holdings LLC boundary relocation?
Good morning. Tim Ravendall, RAVNDAL. Just for interest, you talked about the location of this property.
Mhm.
Where is it? Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, can I
Please.
respond? East of town, abutting US Highway 12 East and Ross Gulch.
And where?
Ross Gulch,
Okay.
I believe the address is 1146 Highway.
12 East, yes, I believe you're right. Yep, 1146 Highway 12 East is the physical address.
Any other public comment? There's a motion and a second to approve Montana River Ranch Holdings LLC boundary relocation exemption. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And to continue with the Nicole Brown Show, West Side Trail, major subdivision request, release of irrevocable letter of credit.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Community Development Director and Planner, requesting the release of the irrevocable letter of credit and subsequent funds being held, not by Broadwater County, but in coordination with Broadwater County. The reason these funds are held typically as part of a subdivision improvements agreement, the applicant, if they are ready to move forward for final plat approval and maybe don't have some of the infrastructure improvements completed, in this instance it was the roads for phase 3 of West Side Trails, so they're able to, I should say MCA, Montana Code Annotated, and the Broadwater County subdivision regulations allow a path forward for an applicant to move forward for final plat approval with a subdivision improvements agreement along with the subsequent 125% bid of the cost of improvements and the irrevocable letter of credit. So in December, I believe, of 2023, the commissioners, specifically Commissioner Randolph, who was ironically the chair at the time, signed the irrevocable letter of credit with Montana Title and Escrow for the funds to be held in the amount of $158,760. So I have a copy, as you do as well, and I'm sorry these are posted online, I should have made that disclaimer. The approval letter from the engineer stating that the road improvements have been completed. And our Public Works Director, TJ Gravely, also provided a letter. Even though these are not county roads, we rely on our subject matter expert on roads, which in this instance is Mr. Gravely. And so he also provided a letter stating that the roads have been completed. So now the final step is for you to determine whether or not you are satisfied with that information and subsequently sign off on the release of funds.
I will just add real quickly, I printed, and I think I printed from the website, there's a, if you looked at this online, there's a additional form that has nothing to do with this. It was an error putting that out. So I just want to make that for the record. So it does not need to be filled out. It was put in there by mistake.
And yes, thank you, Madam Chair, for that. That was my mistake. I grabbed an extra piece of paper off of my desk.
Scanned it.
And scanned it in. Well, it was part of the file. It was part of the recording document, so.
It appears to me that everything is here. The letter from the engineer, the letter from Mr. Gravely, and I don't have any questions. Do you have any questions?
No.
No?
It was all there.
Yep. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the West Side Trails Major Subdivision request to release the irrevocable letter of credit. I don't have the amount.
Right here.
In the amount of $153,763.
I will second that.
Is there any public comment on West Side Trails Major Subdivision release of the letter of credit? Anything online? No. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, all those in favor of approving the West Side Trails Major Subdivision request of release of letter of credit for $153,763 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All in favor, motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Curtis, do you want me to email this to you, or do you want a copy now?
I do.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I make a request that you sign this document now? Mr. Curtis Van Dyken is here as a representative of West Side Trails.
It just needs my signature.
Correct, yeah, and it doesn't need to be notarized. Ooh, sorry. It was obnoxious. Perfect, and you can take that with you now if you want. And then you'll have to sign it, obviously, but you know what to do with it from here.
Thank you. Thank you for having that all complete. Ready for us. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Community Development and Planning Director, Nicole Brown, changes to family transfer affidavit from the Attorney General's office.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We spoke about this topic, I want to say a month or so ago. But just to recap, the Attorney General's office created this affidavit of family transfer, and it is now a requirement that any family transfer exemption request completes this affidavit. I don't know the exact date when this was amended, but the Attorney General's office did amend the original affidavit that was available January 1 of 2026. So now this is the amended affidavit. Previously, I want to say there were 12 items on the affidavit, and now there are 6. So we spoke about this again, I want to say maybe 3 weeks or a month ago. I have no changes to present to you, Commissioners. This was simply, again, to open the discussion on whether or not you want to amend the exemption request, or the subdivision exemption application, excuse me.
Any questions or comments for Nicole or the public?
I have a couple of things, but if anybody else has stuff to add, please go first, because I have a few things.
Go ahead,
Sure.
please.
Okay.
'Cause
All
mine
right.
might be the same as yours, I don't know.
All right, so, okay. So the updated Attorney General affidavit that we have continues to be a sworn statement and address, right? It is shortened from the previous affidavit originally released in January because we're getting like Attorney General whiplash right now on how many different releases we have. The county does not have the authority to change the affidavit, but I feel that we can gather info with our application, which to our point, the earlier question of occupation, like if you're going to gather the information, it's there for a reason. I did notice, and it's crazy, I did notice on the new affidavit, the newest affidavit, number 5, the bold statement says, additional applicant statements may need to be added to address evasion criteria developed by a governing body pursuant to section 76-3-5041 PMCA. So I happened to go look at that section in MCA, which is not where you would normally look for exemption anything, because that is in the subdivision regs, and exemptions have their own section in the MCA. And 1P says, establish criteria that the governing body reviewing authority will use to determine whether a proposed method of disposition using the exemptions provided in 76-3-201 or 76-3-207 is an attempt to evade the requirements of this chapter. So that tells me we need to have subdivision evasion, exemption evasion criteria. So now we're looking at like, okay, now we need to develop criteria. And you know, we had talked about it briefly before. I said they're obviously assuming we have evasion criteria, which we were all hoping the state would give us evasion criteria, because they're dictating the other policies and statutes around this. But in this, they clearly want the individual counties to have their own evasion criteria. And again, it's 76-3-504 and 1P clearly states that we need our own criteria for evasion, which tells me it isn't standardized and that we are looking at things. We need to assess some things. What is evasion, which we've asked several times before. So yeah, again, the location in the MCA is confusing because it's buried in the subdivision regs as opposed to in the exemption section. And I mean, my book, we read and highlight. There's a lot in the exemption section, so it just was missed. So I think for an upcoming agenda, I would like to see a discussion of evasion criteria as well as the exemption application. I think you kind of need to do one with the other. They should relate to one another. And I know Jefferson, Gallatin, Beaverhead, they all have this criteria on their website. I've looked it all up. It gives all applicants clear expectations, an understanding of what is going to be reviewed, hands down. And I think I don't think the application needs a lot of adjustment. I think there's a couple of things to be added back to the application or added into the application. I don't think it needs to be what it was previously. And I think establishing the evasion criteria will help everybody know what evasion criteria is.
I also looked up that, and the Attorney General's office, I'll just be blunt, they did not make this easy for anybody. They did not, in my opinion, I'll just speak for myself, they did not contact people that use these on a regular basis or planners that I'm aware of. So it does seem like we've gone back and forth, and here we are again. I hesitate because we're just going to open up this rabbit hole, so let's go down. In the past, there's been comment about proof of relationship, whether that be a spouse or a child. I have completely changed my mind on that. Nicole and I talked a couple days ago about this. providing a marriage license or a birth certificate. It's not going to take a lot of time. It's just a quick process, no matter if you're in Montana or Kentucky, to provide. Yes, they sign this. I did talk to, last week, a couple other commissioners across the state, actually, and they are learning the same thing. Even though, and I said it, they signed it a couple weeks ago. They sign it, there's a fee, a fine. If it's wrong, they're like, why not just try to avoid any complications to this process? But let's not go crazy on it, is what all three of them said. And I agree with that. Let's simplify this as much as we can, and still make it user-friendly for the residents and the landowners. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, because this all just came up in my viewpoint late last week. So I will admit, I said we don't need proof of relationship. I believe we can ask for that. And that's just one item.
I think, yeah, proof of relationship was one, and I didn't think we were going to go into it too much today, since we have to look at this evasion criteria.
And I don't want to. I didn't mean that. I just
no, it's all right. I also think that in the interest of asking a few more questions on the application, it provides the equitable, for lack of a better word, process to the application, which is less selective than, hey, I feel imposed upon, or I feel singled out because the commissioners or planning asked me for all these different documents with my application, but they didn't ask this person. So if it's there for everybody, then it's provided. I mean, shoot, you have to provide this stuff if you want a driver's license, a passport, and a million other things. So it's not above and beyond. It's not an egregious ask of anyone, and it's just information for us to do our due diligence, is how I see that. There was some comment, Bernadette, thank you for your comment, yes. And Donald as well, thank you.
And I think we'll be reading those into the record.
Do you want those read into the record?
Dawn did.
Dawn did, okay. I can read those, and then I have some thoughts to share after that. Would you like me to read them, or do you want to read them?
I don't.
Do you want to?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. They were both kind of aimed at me because of my comment on this family transfer, approval of family transfers and subdivision exemptions being a privilege. So, dear Broadwater County Commission, I would like to comment on the ongoing discussion on exemptions in the Montana Subdivision and Platting Act. I have been serving in Montana since 1974 and have seen many changes in land use in the past 52 years. In 1978, the present Montana Subdivision and Platting Act was codified into law and revised as needed over the years. The exemptions within the Act are essentially the same as when the law was enacted, the one exception being the deletion of the occasional sale provision. The exemptions contained in the Montana Subdivision and Platting Act are there to balance landowner rights along with public safety. The existing exemptions in the Act are there to allow the landowner to exercise his right to adjust his boundary lines, create agricultural tracts, aggregate parcels, and transfer lands to his family members with minimal interference of the government. The Attorney General of the state of Montana has issued an affidavit regarding the family transfer exemption. That affidavit is an attempt to standardize the information required to be submitted by the landowner for the family transfer exemption. In my opinion, to go beyond this required information on the affidavit could be construed by the courts as an attempt by the governing body to evade the Act in failing to protect the rights of private property ownership as specified under the law. Unless it can be proven a risk to public safety exists, the rights of the landowner should be paramount. Thank you for your dedication to public service. Sincerely, Donald, did he put, I don't want to say that wrong.
Chauber.
Chauber. Type it. Okay, Donald Chauber. Broadwater County Examining Land Surveyor. I did not want to read that wrong.
I can't point that out.
I didn't catch it. That's all.
I did.
Bernadette, would you like me to read just the MCA or the actual definitions of the MCA?
Yeah, sure, whatever you want. It was mainly just for, that statute.
We don't
is
have to
law.
read it. It's up to you.
And there has not been a motion, just for the record,
Yeah.
there's not been a motion in a second yet.
No. Okay. Dear Broadwater County Commission, over the past few weeks, I have heard comments from a commissioner and public comment on exemption surveys, specifically family transfers being a privilege. My comments are not to address exemption survey, including family transfers, either positively or negatively. My concern is for the privilege comment itself. Are there specific sections of MCA that are determined to be privileges, and who would get to decide which laws are statutory and which laws are privileges? The Montana Code Annotated is the official compilation of all Montana state laws, organized into over 50 titles covering subjects from general laws and government structure to criminal law, property, environmental protection, and more. The MCA contains hundreds of titles, thousands of chapters and parts, and tens of thousands of sections in total, with the exact number varying by year due to legislative updates. MCA 1-1-101 MCA states definition of law. Law is a solemn expression of the will of the supreme power of the state. 1-1-102 MCA states how expressed. The will of the supreme power is expressed by 1, the Constitution, 2, statutes. 1-1-105 MCA states Constitution and statutes. The organic law is the Constitution of government and is altogether written. Other written laws are denominated statutes. The written law of this state is therefore contained in its Constitution and statutes and in the Constitution and statutes of the United States. 1-2-103 MCA states statutes and derogation of the common law, liberal construction. The rule of the common law that statutes and derogation thereof are to be strictly construed has no application to the statutes of the state of Montana. The statutes establish the law of this state respecting the subjects to which they relate, and their provisions and all proceedings under them are to be liberally construed with a view to effect their objects and to promote justice. 1-2-107 MCA states preference to construction favoring natural right. When a statute is equally susceptible of two interpretations, one in favor of natural right and the other against it, the former is to be adopted. 1-11-103, Section 6, MCA states, effective Montana Code Annotated official version. After enactment, the Montana Code Annotated, including all subsequent replacement volumes, is prima facie the official laws of Montana. In case of any inconsistency in meaning arising through omission or otherwise between the provisions of the Montana Code Annotated and the corresponding portion of the official enrolled bill on file with the Secretary of State, effect must be given to the official enrolled bill. All the statutes contained within Montana Code Annotated are equally established laws which govern the state of Montana and should be equally enforced. I believe it is dangerous and a slippery slope to claim that any law or statute is a privilege. Whether any individual is for or against a specific statute should not determine its validity, right, or the implementation of it. As 1-2-107 MCA states, when a statute is equally susceptible to interpretations, one in favor of natural right and the other against it, the former is to be adopted. With that in mind, I believe the Commission should apply all statutes equally rather than choosing which ones to favor or oppose when governing the citizens of Broadwater County. No law is a privilege. Sincerely, Bernadette Swenson. Madam Chair, if I may, I have just a couple quick things. Sure. I promise they will be short. The law, that it's not a privilege. Everyone has the right, this is my opinion, everyone has the right to apply for a subdivision exemption. That is undeniable. We have to make a decision, and if we were to deny something, which we've only denied one in the past few years, we have to have the documentation to do so. When an exemption is approved, you are now rewarded with the privilege of being able to avoid an entire process of subdivision with the review and the cost. That is what I meant by privilege. The law itself is not. The law is a right, you get to apply. I don't believe we choose at all which statutes. We try to apply our statutes as equally as possible. So I wanted to say that. And again, like I said before, with the affidavit, with the MCA requiring us to have evasion criteria, that tells me that it isn't just standardized across the board. That each county needs to do what it needs to do because each county has different issues regarding evasion. That's my thought. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Of course.
If I can knock off. Yeah. The exemption review criteria is laid out in our subdivision regs under section 9B2. So we are following that 763501 or 504. We have them laid out, described in our subdivision regs. for that.
It's not exemption criteria though.
Exemption review criteria.
Please don't talk over each other.
9B2, exemption review criteria. And this is when determining whether an exemption is claimed for the purpose of evading the MSPA, the subdivision administrator and governing body shall consider all the surrounding circumstances. These circumstances may include, but are not limited to, and then it lists items 1 through 5. So just so we are kind of preparing ourselves for the right path going forward, if we are going to change our exemption review criteria, it's amending the subdivision regulations, not our application. So I mean, like I said, I feel like we have fulfilled MCA as far as what they have laid out. The proof of relationship, my one hesitation with, I mean, because I agree, it's not like it's the end of the world. People normally have their birth certificates, marriage certificates, but all of the, and I have a stack of them here, but all of the counties that I researched, none of them required it. None of them asked for it. I don't know what you do in the instance of common law marriage if you don't have a marriage certificate. You're still legally married in the state of Montana. You would still legally be allowed to transfer to your spouse, but you would not have a marriage certificate. So that would be the one hesitation there. And I'm not saying there are no counties that require it. I'm just saying the ones that I looked at. I tried to use our little book from Mako, look at like-sized counties, as many as I could. And I did not see any. I'm not going to guarantee that they're not in there, but I did not see that they requested it in any of those.
And I'm sorry, I may not have been clear. The ones that I talked to are in the same process that we are right now. So they may have not finalized it.
Sure.
It's in Jefferson counties.
Jefferson, I did not call them.
Yeah, it's in their documentation.
And then just one other thing that we haven't discussed yet, or haven't really said. So there is, MCA gives us the penalty of if you're caught evading, right, the 10% or $10,000, 10%, whatever it is. But they also, by signing and notarizing the affidavit, they're signing it under penalty of perjury,
Right.
which is an additional up to $50,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison. So it's not a document that they're signing lightly, I would hope. I don't want to go to prison for 10 years.
I guess my point on that, and we can wrap this up, but and we'll continue the conversation, I think. It's a pretty easy to make me feel more secure that it is. I hadn't thought about common law marriage. I don't know anything about that. So I wrote that down. I don't know how you prove that.
I would imagine you have to prove it at any point if you're using common law marriage, right? Like at some point, like whether it's your tax return, like.
I don't know. It's something to be researched.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I just want to say too, Madam Chair, I mean, I believe, like, I want to believe that people are doing things, like, people aren't taking advantage of the system, and I have no intention of looking at any of these as someone's trying to, do something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's information gathering for us, and again, to have something that's equal as possible for everybody in that information gathering process. So then again, people aren't feeling picked on or selected when we're calling back asking for more, which we may still have to do, but at least we have some basic information. And again, it's not a huge change to what we have currently. It's a few additional items.
And I think some of those things, like the proof of relationship, will help the COS review committee.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cross section of different departments in the county. It's just another fail-safe for them.
Jesse, can you give me that section again one more time?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, could he read the section one more time that had in our criteria?
Oh, it's section
subdivision
9.
regs.
Yeah.
B, Roman numeral 2.
Big Roman numeral?
Little Roman numeral.
Oh,
9B, II, little II.
thank you.
Starts on page 86, if that helps.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Any more comments? Nicole, do you?
Madam Chair, no, thank you for the opportunity, but I don't have any more comments. I know we've discussed this at length, and I've discussed it with each of you individually. Yeah, I have nothing more to add.
What is the desire of the commission at this point? Is there a motion?
Can I make a comment at this point, or do I need to wait?
Hold on 2 seconds. I'm getting to you. I knew you had something to say.
It's been a long discussion.
I know.
I don't feel like there's anything to make a motion on.
Not right now. I feel like we can,
I just
we
wanna
can
make
wait.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we can individually work on what we'd like to see. I'd like to look into the evasion stuff a little bit more, because I did notice other counties do have that evasion criteria, which, again, it's like buried in subdivision, and you are correct that that's in the subdivision regs where it says that. So yeah, I don't know how that works. So I think there's some more research to be done, maybe some more information. I'm sure Chuck has.
I know, I
something
just
for
wanted
us.
that for the record for the minute
Yes.
keeping. Chuck, Mr. Hahn, would you like to make a comment?
Again, I'm Chuck Hahn, CHUCK-HAHN. Thank you for the chance to comment again. And if you will remember here recently, as you worked on subdivision regulation amendments, I was a strong proponent of keeping the individual criteria in there for each exemption. Commissioner Swenson is correct. There is criteria in the subdivision regulations under Section 9. Those are the very general criteria. You need criteria for each exemption. And what you're considering right now with the family transfer exemption is entirely different than an exemption for boundary relocation, a mortgage relocate, or a mortgage exemption, or any of those. So theoretically, or not just theoretically, but what the affidavit for family transfer exemption does is it creates a rebuttable presumption which says that the application or the applicant is stating such and such under affidavit. But you are also able to examine that, but you need the criteria to be able to do that, and you need criteria that's laid out specifically in your subdivision regulations for people to look at and to know. Although I know a lot of people probably don't even look at those subdivision regulations. They go to the consultant, whoever is going to do that application for them, and rely on them to do that. But they still need to have that there so that you have it to rely on for your information and your documentation. And that's why that is highlighted in this affidavit, is that attached documentation is what you have to have and you can consider. And the laws that were stated in the various comments that were made are the Montana Code. Those are the laws. But until a law has been looked at through the Supreme Court and a decision is made, that law is not necessarily how that law has to be interpreted. You have certain Supreme Court cases going back to 1993, I think. Dreyer versus Fuller is the one that's kind of the seminal case here, that states that the rebuttable presumption, which is created by the applicant in their statement about what they want to do, is something that is well within what you're able to do through your commission. And you have to be able to have very specific language in there. So you need to go back and look at all this stuff and look at the criteria you had previously. Look at the things that you've gone through with different family transfer exemptions that I've stood before you and talked about, and know that things like documentation of relationship is important. It's not an invasion of privacy. It's an important document that they bring to you. And even if it's a common law, to be a true common law marriage in the state of Montana, you need to have a solemnization certificate, which can be gotten. And that's if it goes through the process, the court process, That's how they recognize it. And most of the high-growth counties, excuse me, like I've told you before, have that in their criteria, or in their application process, that has to be brought forward. So I would strongly recommend that we go back and really look hard at the subdivision regulations and these specific criteria for each individual exemption, not just the general criteria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
do you mind if I ask a question for clarity?
Of
to
course.
Mr. Hahn. Broadwater County Clerk and Recorder, Angie Paulson, Paulscn. Mr. Hahn, did you say that a law is not upheld until it is looked at by the Supreme Court?
Well, it's not. The Supreme Court is the one that interprets that law, and they are the one that bring forth the decision on how that will be interpreted after that point.
Okay, so Madam Chair, may I? So when a law is, I just want to be clear, so there's no confusion here. When a law is passed by the Montana State Legislature, that is actually the law that is in place. If that law is in fact challenged then by somebody who brings a lawsuit and it is brought all the way up to the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court then somehow rules against that and changes it, then it would change. But it is the law once it is passed by the state legislature.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that what I thought I heard you say is that it wasn't law until the Supreme Court looked at it. It's only if the Supreme Court rules against that law that is actually passed by the state legislature.
It's not the business of the courts to make law.
That's right.
It's their business to interpret that law. And so then if it goes into a further court battle somewhere, they look back at those Supreme Court decisions, not only in the home state, but other states as well.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, Mr. Hahn, I just wanted to clarify that as soon as that law is passed, it is passed by the state legislature, and then the governor's approval, that makes it law. If in fact it does go to the Supreme Court and then it is challenged and they rule otherwise, and it changes at that point, but just wanted to be clear on that.
Yes.
I believe you're both saying the same thing, just different.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay, good.
Okay, at this point, we are moving on. Everybody good? Okay. Nicole Brown, Community Development Planning Director, Broadwater County Subdivision Supplements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Here today to request adoption of the subdivision application supplements. This is Appendix C of the Broadwater County subdivision regulations. The commissioners...
Nicole, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we did have a public comment
I'm so sorry.
earlier
Okay.
today. Came in about family transfers. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
My name is Tina Reed. I would like to weigh in on this family transfer issue. I believe this is a privilege, not right, and because it has to do with water and subdivisions, it should not be in favor of family transfer. We have more than enough subdivisions and not enough water. Tina Reed.
I apologize, I meant to read that earlier. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Madam Chair, is that for the previous, is that for changes to family transfers?
Yes.
Comment?
Yes, I believe that's where she intended it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. All right, back to the subdivision application supplements. So the commissioners amended the subdivision regulations, or adopted the amended subdivision regulations in April of this year. These supplements, although they are intended to be a part of the regulations, they were not explicitly adopted. So this rendition that's before you today and that has been made available to the public, nothing has changed going all the way back to I want to say December of 25, when I say we, I'm sorry, the planning board and myself began the process of presenting amendments to the commissioners. So the planning board and myself looked at amendments to the subdivision regulations and the supplements about a year ago, and then presented it to the commissioners in December of 25. We went through the public hearing process to adopt the regulations. Now this is just the formality of adopting the supplements separately, even though they are Appendix C of the subdivision regulations.
So am I correct that at that time that we did the subdivision regs, we should have specifically approved these as well?
Possibly.
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 It doesn't- Okay. It's just kind of hard to track when I look one back. And this is all, has been online on the website. Any comments on this, notes?
I still have my same hesitation that we've talked about it every time we've talked about these.
I have it all written down in my notes. What was it again?
The surface water, so it says, find it here.
I believe it was supplement 7.
Yeah, it's supplement 7. A complete and sufficient application shall include information on all natural water systems on the aquifer upon which the project is located, as well as distance from the proposed project. That's item A, so 7.1A, and then 7.1B is same thing, but artificial water systems. Knowing where the boundaries of the actual aquifer are is hard enough, let alone listing all the bodies of water on that aquifer and distances to each one. I feel like having it on the entire aquifer is a bit of an overreach. I don't see how something up at Winston that might be on the same aquifer as Three Forks, it's not going to affect the surface water in Three Forks that far away. I know we've talked about trying to change that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the mileage radius is of what is a appropriate distance. But I feel like the aquifer the maps that I was able to find, some of them stretched down into Idaho and down into Wyoming, and it was very broadly, and it was very hard to determine exactly where the boundaries were.
Mm-hmm.
But so I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, and I question how accurate it would even be for somebody to be able to try to do that for that far away from a project. That's my biggest hesitation with them.
Well, do you have a replacement or a suggestion on?
I don't know what that answer is. I mean, I know we've talked about reaching out to Great West to see if they had any ideas. I have not been able to do that yet. But whether it's a mile or 5 miles or whatever it might be, I'm not sure.
Madam Chair, may I ask Director Brown a question? I had a note that we were going to talk to legal. You were going to talk to legal. Did you have an opportunity to talk to legal about their thoughts on this?
May I respond? Yes, I did have an opportunity to talk to legal, and basically the response was, if this is a MACO best practice tip, then stay with that.
And this is?
And this is a best practice tip from MACO. And that was from our legal department, sorry. But I did reach out to MACO again just this morning to see if their legal department is still standing by this. Because Commissioner Swenson and I did have a conversation this morning about it. So.
It's a very legitimate question.
Mm-hmm.
It does say on A, capable of being documented.
Yeah.
Is that capable? Does that mean?
Who gets to decide that? Right. I mean, I know.
But who's
I'm
capable?
that-
Like, is it because they exist
it.
or because that's what the information you could find and gather?
Right.
And I get it. Like, water is, oh boy, it's a huge, as we all know. So I think this is like this is the uber conservative, it seems to me, uber conservative guidelines for this assessment requirements, just due to what is going on with water. But without having a water expert explain what that means in its entirety, right? All the list, natural water systems, artificial water systems, and then a full aquifer, like what that actually entails, I don't know. That's where I'm hung up. Because while I think we need to do due diligence, we need to have good records, someone could present this to us, right? This could come in the subdivision application, and we see a list. How do we know if that is a comprehensive list of all? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, how do we know?
May I respond to that, Madam Chair? So you are correct. We, as in our courthouse, do not know, but that's why we are contracting with Great West Engineering for the review of the hydrologic study. So the hydrologic study is a component of this environmental assessment. If a subdivision is required to perform an environmental assessment, that hydrologic study component is a part of it, and that information that's gathered for surface water, groundwater, et cetera, I pass on to Great West Engineering hydrologist to review, who is the subject matter expert, because I clearly am not. So
I'm curious what they're doing with the information. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, great, we have a list. What qualifies that? It's like they've checked the box, but what where do they say, well, what are they looking for in this information to qualify or disqualify the application? Or raise red flags? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think, I understand what you're saying, but they are the expert. So if they decide this is the area we're working with, or that's what we have to rely on.
Right, but what information? That's my only question. What information are they? They're going to look at this and say, okay, great, they've listed everything. Are they listing that just because we all want to say, cool, thanks for listing it, or because they will identify a problem within this list that could prevent the subdivision from moving forward?
can I respond?
Please.
So, yes, they, and when I say they, there is one individual who's a hydrologist with Great West Engineering, excuse me, because as you can imagine, it's a very specialized field. And so this contracted individual that we do, Broadwater County does charge an additional fee to make sure that we are covering the costs of this contracted engineer. So there's zero cost to the county. It's paid for by the developer or the applicant. He has his own list that he's putting, and I shouldn't say his own list. He knows what he's doing to review this, I guess, in plain English. I don't know what his process is. I don't know what he's doing with the information. His response back to me on a few of the applications that have gone through this process, he comes back with a list of items that are deficient or that he needs additional information from the applicant in order to complete his review. And then once the applicant provides that information, he's able to complete his review and then move it forward, and it's passed on to the planning board. I know that doesn't really answer your question. I'm just saying I don't know his process. I don't know his step-by-step process of review. I just know he Mr. Sauer is his name, takes that information and he's able to determine whether or not it's a complete hydrologic study to perform his analysis. Does that loosely answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. I mean, go ahead.
And it's important to say he comes back with the deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just check it off that he did it or looked at it. It is a complete review.
I'm okay with us staying because legal advised that we should follow that. And I know Mako has released this out for their, I think their own, I don't know if they have their own version of subdivision regs or what they are working on with the state. So I'm comfortable with that. I would say, for the record, that if we see that this is a massive burden, or we talk to engineering and there's no real reason why, that we should, and the fact that we can pull these out separately and look at them is a good thing from the rest of the subdivision regs. But I mean, if it's kind of like the fire regs were previously, if it's ridiculously burdensome and there's no applicable reason why it's being done other than just to say it's being done, then I would feel good about changing those down the road, if that's the case.
Just with all of our regs and policies, they can be changed later.
Yeah.
There's some process, whether it's a resolution or a policy or
Yeah.
Whatever. What is the desire of the commission? I will say, just to reiterate, I'm comfortable now that we have the process in place with Great West. That took quite a while to get there. They've been great to work with. And I think it's key to note that, as Director Brown said, it's not costing the county. What is the desire of the commission?
Commissioner Swenson, you look like you have something to say.
I just feel like it's just too much of an overreach. I am absolutely against it. Development is hard enough. Having worked on it from the other side, this is not an easy process. Going through a subdivision process is not easy. It's very time consuming. As it should be. I'm not saying we should cut all the red tape out and let it go, but you also can't be overly burdensome either. And like I said, I think absolutely having a regulation in there looking at surface water and the effects of surface water is huge. But like I said, not even knowing how to find where the limits of the aquifer necessarily are, I don't know how we should be requiring a developer to be able to list that when through quite a bit of research, I was not able to find it either.
It's too bad Mr. Fasting left, because it'd be interesting to hear a developer's opinion as well on this.
I understand it's MACO's best practice, and I know that they're looking out for Montana as a whole, and to me, this is too far.
Up here, in the second paragraph.
What are you looking at?
Second paragraph of Supplement 7. In bold. I'm just reading this really quick, so bear with me. If the proposed development will not have an impact on a particular topic or selection, the subdivider must provide information or reference materials, detailed analysis to why there will be no impact. Required information must be thorough, must address adjacent properties and nearby resources on the aquifer in addition to resources on or under the project location. So, is it saying if you don't think you're going to have an impact on this, you could do a nice detailed analysis of why you don't need to do this?
That's exactly how I read it. I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty much word for word what it says, right? Detailed analysis as to why there will be no impact.
Right. Required information must be thorough, must address adjacent properties and nearby resources on the aquifer. So nearby resources. I mean, it's not specific. It's not saying like the whole thing. In addition to resources on or under the project location, which is fair, because if you are considering how your groundwater use or your surface water use, but particularly your groundwater use for like wells is going to affect senior water right holders in your area. So I understand that. So
Totally agree with that.
yeah.
The hard part is, like I said, when you have a 30, 40, 50 mile area, you're not affecting people that far away.
And I don't think you have to.
I would say like with this nearby resources.
Yeah.
On the aquifer in addition to resources on or under the project location. So if you're like, hey, I'm not going to affect the whole aquifer, I'm going to provide you similar information, but it's going to be here, right? It's going to be thorough. It's going to address the adjacent properties. So you're looking at, whoever's downstream who might have water rights older than yours, right? You're addressing that. You're looking at all that and your nearby resources on and under that aquifer around the project location. I think that gives
I agree. I like that statement.
Yeah.
But the one when you go right below it, it says a complete and sufficient application shall include the information
Sure.
for all natural water systems on the aquifer. As we saw today, if there's something left off of an application, it's not being viewed as complete. So
I would read that as the proposed development will not have an impact on a particular topic or selection, right? So if I'm going to say, look, my proposed development is not going to affect groundwater or surface water through the whole aquifer. It's going to affect this direct area, right, and this surrounding area, as it says right here, and here's all the resources I'm going to provide, listing all these things for that area. So you're still detailing out everything, right? You're
Then
doing your
what?
detail analysis.
sorry.
It's okay. I don't know if that's.
I just don't, I mean, like I said, I totally agree with what you're saying in that bold statement. I just, if we're gonna hold that, why do we have it right below that you have to list everything? And I don't wanna get into a situation
Yeah.
where we have a discussion here of saying, well, I didn't think it was gonna impact beyond this, and somebody else says, well, I'm 30 miles away and I think it might, and I think having that much ambiguity within the document causes a hesitation in itself.
I guess what I was thinking is,
go ahead.
Sorry, that in a, we just changed the rule on this too. If I'm doing a, I'm going to say this wrong, a subsequent minor. But it's within, a subsequent minor is viewed as a major, right? It follows the same rules as the major. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Unless it but we changed the rule to where it doesn't, it does not have to do the full EA unless it creates
The sixth
Sixth lot.
So maybe in that case, which we've seen more of those than we have full developments, in that case, that would be where you would be able to say, I'm going to do a more focused area, right? You're not going to have to do this massive full EA.
A minor doesn't have to do an EA,
No, but a subsequent.
but the subsequent minor would fall, as soon as you have the sixth lot, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No,
you
you're correct.
are held by your subdivision regs. You have to do the full EA.
But we don't have anything for this. Okay, never mind then. Sorry, just throwing that out there. I'm looking for
know.
solutions.
That's what I'm
Work
reading
with
this
me
over
here.
and over.
I guess if legal said stick with this, and that's what they're advising us to do, then I have no problem following what legal is saying. Again, we can come back and revisit this. I don't think any of us has a problem with that. We've already shown that with like the fire regs. If it's burdensome, if it doesn't make sense, we
change
can come
things
back
as
and fix it.
needed.
Yeah,
Whereas we learn.
so that's my,
That's what I was going to say. Just my comments are subdivisions, development of any kind shouldn't be easy or should be hard, but it should be across the board. And I understand your point of this, all the water. I mean, but I feel confident knowing it's a MACO best practices and our legal has reviewed it. And, I mean, I feel like we're just putting things off, but would you be more comfortable talking to Great West? You said you hadn't reached out to him yet.
I'd be happy to have a phone call. Yeah, I'd be happy to call him.
I just didn't, I'm not putting you on the spot, but
No.
I thought that's what you said, you hadn't reached out to. You wanted to, but you hadn't reached. Would that make you more comfortable with the language or learn more or? I wasn't sure what you were trying to get from Great West.
No, I just was saying Great West because I know we've worked with them, but it just, like I said, it just feels like that's a very broad, big location to try to find. But that's just, I mean, I'm fine. We can move forward with it.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Broadwater County subdivision supplements.
I will second that. Any public comment on subdivision supplements? Any public comment?
Bernadette Swenson, SWENSON from Schauber Surveying. Just a few comments on the discussion. If the proposed development will not have an impact on a particular section, and they don't think there'll be any impact, well, I guarantee you every subdivider will say, I'm not going to have any impact, and they're going to automatically go with just the neighboring properties, et cetera. Just to throw that out there. Another thing on, as far as the aquifers, I know right outside of town, a subdivision that is limited to the 10 acre feet. And they drilled their well, sent it to DNRC, got the water rights. The neighboring lot, they drilled the next well. They sent it to DNRC, knowing they're very limited with their 10 acre feet. And DNRC said, oh, you're in a different aquifer now. So now you have a whole new set of 10 acre feet for that aquifer. And then the lot on the other side of it is back to the first aquifer. And they're all in, about the same depth. So even, as I do not understand water at all. And, but I mean, even though everyone can do their best practice and their best water studies, ultimately, when it goes to DNRC for water rights, they're going to tell you which aquifer you're in. And so it's going to be really hard to determine which aquifer you're over, and the fact that they overlap also. And this doesn't specify which aquifer you're talking about. Is it only the uppermost, or is it aquifers that are down lower? Because there is an aquifer that covers almost the whole northwest of the country, but deeper down. So, I mean, I'm just saying, just going in there. And then doing a water study, and that's, you get it to Great West Engineering. They're like, this is great. You're not going to affect any water. Go for it. And then what if you do? All of a sudden, the neighbors lose their water in their well. And it's because that subdivision, even though the best they did their water study, the county's engineer okayed it and said you're not going to impact, and then they are impacted. So just food for thought to how far the county gets involved in approving something. I know in the past they had the county engineer approve roads, and then it was determined, well, now the engineers that designed the road loved it, because now the county engineer is taking some of the responsibility from the engineer that's built the roads, because they approved their engineering. So just food for thought. If there's going to be changes in the subdivision exemption claims and requirements, Supplement 22 lists what those are. So, I mean, I think before that settles, maybe you want to put this on hold, because if you're going to change requirements in exemption requirements and what's being looked at, I don't, because it said the exemption review criteria from Section 9 includes, and it does include the things that are in the subdivision regs, but if you're looking at changing that, you just to keep that in mind, that you'll want to change Supplement 22 also. And my last statement, Supplement 21, final site plan requirements. This relates to Section 6A1D for trailer or camping spaces for rent, but that was removed from the subdivision regs because that's now under buildings for lease or rent. And so Supplement 21 won't be needed there anymore, because it, of course, references a section that's not in the regs anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Anything online? No. Any other
I
public
would
comment?
just add one thing real fast. Just looking at Supplement 22, that list is not correct with our current regulations as it is. We added, when we redid the regs for the exemption review criteria, we added that in letter 5, or letter 5, number 5, letter V, Roman numeral 5, and it's not listed on that supplement. So I think we could still vote, just make sure to add that amended portion into it, just to make sure that the exemption review criteria list in supplement 2 matches what's in the regs.
What? Holy cow. All right. What are you thinking?
I have so many things. I'm thinking of canceling, lack of a better word, my motion
Okay.
and reviewing this again.
Okay.
And I really hesitate to do that. Or we can just vote it down.
Let's review it some more. I mean, there's no, again, I realize it's there. I don't know that we have a huge onslaught of applications, or do we? What do we need? What are we on urgency?
May I respond?
Yeah.
So I want to preface this is not urgent because I want this to be a
Right.
thoughtful decision by the commission. And clearly, yes, I think we were spending so much time focusing on the proposed amendments to Supplement 3 and Supplement 7.
Mm-hmm.
I overlooked Supplement 21 because Bernadette is correct. We did take that out of our regulations, so we should remove that supplement. And Commissioner Swenson is correct. We did amend the exemption review criteria. We should amend Supplement 22. The only urgency, and I don't really mean to use that word, is that Supplement 3 that we have currently does not match our subdivision regulations. Supplement 3 is the checklist for a subdivision application. I'm sorry, it's a subdivision application itself, but it includes the checklist, the items for to be included in the application, and it doesn't match our regulations. The only urgency is that I have 2 subdivisions pending right now. They don't have sufficiency, which means they would have to comply with the regulations in effect at the time sufficiency is given. That doesn't mean that you need to make this an urgent decision. Just disclaimer, it doesn't match our regulations. So if we're requiring, because we currently have supplements adopted, right? These are just the amendments to the supplements. The application, which is Supplement 3, does not match our subdivision regulations. Does that make sense how I'm wording that?
Okay, well, let's just push pause and put it, I mean, okay, maybe we do it next week and we have some action items to look at specifically.
I will rescind my motion.
That's not that. Let's just get it right. Let's get it right.
You seconded
Oh, yeah.
You what?
it. She seconded.
Oh, I'll rescind my motion.
I'm looking down at my notes and I even wrote that down. That was just my subtle hint, sorry.
Let's just get it right. So we have supplement, can we review a list that we need to talk about really quick? Supplement 3, that is the most urgent, correct?
Correct.
That's the checklist?
Correct.
Okay, and then what else do we have?
7, 21,
Okay,
and 22.
22. Okay.
And I will make proposed amendments to 21 and 22. I suspect 21 will go away completely and 22 will become 21, but I want to take another hard look at it and see if we could just maybe reword it to direct people to our BLR regulations. Anyway, 3, 7, 21, and 22.
And if I don't want us to be rushed, I don't want to go through this long process again. If we can't get it on for next week, more your time schedule, I would rather wait until July 1st. I want to get it done, don't get me wrong.
Why don't we just put it on July 1st? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other public comment on anything that we haven't talked about today?
Mr. Hahn, are you sure you have nothing else you want to say today? Okay.
Not at the present.
That is all we have today, except for, I just have one vendor or claim request. It is for $40,781.96.
Okay, sorry, say that one more time. 40,000?
$781.96.
6, okay.
I move to approve claim and set amount.
I second that.
Any public comment on the claim? Any public comment? No. All those in favor of approving the claim $40,781.96 signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
adjourn at 12:04.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioners.